Live from Tampa, Florida, the 2012 Republican National Convention with Brian and Brian, sponsored by the Media Research Center. 105.9 FM and AM 630. WMAL.
7:37 on WMAL. Neiman and Wilson were live in Tampa for the Republican National Convention. On the floor last night, Paul Ryan gave a big speech, Condoleezza Rice, and of course Mitt Romney gives his speech this evening. Pleased to be joined now by Stuart Varney from the Fox Business Network. Good morning, Stuart.
Good morning to both Bryans.
How you doing? What did you think of Paul Ryan's speech last night?
I thought he electrified the crowd. I thought there was a lot of policy in there and a lot of personality in there. I thought it was a flat-out terrific speech. It's going to be very hard to demonize a bright, young, good-looking guy with ideas. I'm sure the Obama administration will try to do that, but it's going to be a very, very tough job. It's like demonizing Ann Romney. A very tough job to do that kind of thing. I think it was a success. Case closed.
He comes across as being very sincere. I mean, that's just what you get from Paul Ryan. And as soon as you meet him, as soon as he's on stage, he seems like an honest guy, and I think that goes a long way. But let me ask you this about his speech. Was there too much on policy? Was there too much on debt and not about getting jobs, getting growth going again?
I think he had to introduce himself on both fronts. What does he stand for policy-wise? And he delivered that. Who is he? Who is this man, which many people in America do not know? I think he achieved that. I say he struck the right balance. The time to get very, very specific on policy will be in October. Late September, October. That's when people are really paying full attention, and they will want to know, all right, what is Romney Ryan really going to do about taxation, about spending, about entitlements? Then you get to the specifics. Right now, it's an introduction to the general thrust of policy, and I think Ryan did that last night.
All right, but are Americans ready to hear that message? Or are they really plugged into how? I mean, I know how you feel about it, and I know how I feel about it. I think the situation is very dire, but I'm not sure that many Americans understand just how dire the situation is.
Well, that's why I think it was such a good speech last night, because Ryan said, look, I'm in this to go after big ideas. I'm going to be tough enough to confront the big issues. It's what Chris Christie said the night before. I think the audience, the electorate, has to have the groundwork laid out for them. They've got to be told, look, things are bad, and we're going to tackle this. We're not running away from it. Ryan said last night, I've never seen opponents so silent about their record and so desperate to keep their power. They've run out of ideas. Their moment came and went. Fear and division are all they've got left. That pretty much sums it up. He's going to attack and tackle the big ideas, whereas the administration keeps silent on the mess that they've created. Look, that's obviously my personal point of view. That's my opinion. But I think that was a pretty good layout for the audience, for the electorate.
Doug, with Stuart Varney from the Fox Business Network. All right, we're down here in Tampa for the RNC, but a lot of the financial bigwigs are in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Ben Bernanke's going to give a speech there on Friday. What is the speech about, and are the markets going to watch this very closely to see what he says for a possible QE3?
Is he going to print more money? That QE3 that you're talking about is essentially printing money. Is he going to do some more of it? And the answer is almost certainly yes. And the other question is Mario Draghi. He's the mid-central banker of Europe. He's not going to Jackson Hole. He canceled. But the big question there is he going to print some money? And again, the answer is yes. I think you're in for a binge of money printing in Europe and America, and it'll be joined in by China and probably Japan. They're going to do it all over again, and I think the markets will respond very positively. I think you're going to get a rally.
I want to talk a little bit about oil prices. I mean, they had to shut down the refineries on the Gulf Coast briefly. They didn't. They had to abandon a few oil platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. I noticed that I was paying right around $4 a gallon for a gallon of gas here in Florida yesterday. How is the price of oil and gas working, and how does that play into the coming election?
Well, there's a divergence between the price of oil, which is stable around $95 a barrel, and the price of gas, which has gone straight up over the last couple of days.
Why is that?
Because the refineries have been shut down. I think we've lost somewhere in the region of 85% of refining capacity around the Gulf, which is a big chunk of America's refining supply. When you restrict the supply of gas coming to the market, then you raise the price. Conversely, when there's no oil being shipped from the tanks and the tankers to the refineries, you have lessened demand, so the price is stable and goes down. It's one of those odd moments where you've got a divergence in the price of oil and the price of gas. But, there is political significance to this. If you look at the gas price spike, it's worst in Ohio, of all places.
Wow.
Because they're up the pipeline stream of gas from the refineries in the Gulf. You've got Cincinnati, you've got the other major Columbus, and Canton, major cities in Ohio where the price of regular has gone up 15 cents a gallon in 48 hours. They're paying very close to $4 a gallon. There's political significance there.
Right.
And the national average has gone up, this is the national average, 7 cents in 48 hours. You're now at 382. So I think there's political significance when tens of millions of Americans are paying $4 a gallon for gas 60-odd days before the election.
Let me try and find a ray of sunshine and tell me if it's real or not. The number of household debt has fallen recently. Mortgages where people are refinancing, so they're paying less. The delinquency rate on foreclosures is down. So individually in this country, we're in less debt today. You see a lot of businesses that are in less debt today. They're flush with cash, a lot of people say, but the government isn't. But is that a good sign, a positive sign moving forward that Americans aren't in as much debt today and companies aren't in as much debt?
Yes, it is a positive signal. Yes, very definitely it is. We, the people, have done the right thing. We have exercised some discipline, albeit reluctantly on occasion. But yes, we're $1.3 trillion less in debt today than we were 4 years ago.
Well, that's a significant number.
Yeah, it is a significant number. The total outstanding debt of Americans is now just over 11 trillion. Yeah. We're down 1.3 trillion. That means we are getting our own personal financial houses in order. Contrast that with the government, where there is no such discipline. We've just spent an extra $5 trillion and borrowed that money over the last 4 years. But look, you're talking about a ray of hope. I'll give you a ray of hope.
Good.
The big issues are now on the table. Mm-hmm. America's future prosperity is being discussed. We have the chance to tackle entitlements and to tackle tax reform, and it's now coming into public focus. And it needs to come into public focus, and that is a big positive. You fix those two issues, and you fixed American prosperity.
All right, Stuart, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks so much.
All
the best, Stu.
Stuart Varney from the Fox Business Network here on WMAL.